What would you do if the city was full of animals acting just like humans? Trump and Putin are heading to the local school. The weirdness starts when the school bus isn't driven by a friendly old man, but by a chimpanzee in a uniform behind the wheel. As they step onto the school grounds, Trump and Putin freeze. The janitor sweeping up leaves is actually a massive brown bear wearing overalls. The two of them slowly peek into the classroom. There are no human teachers to be found anywhere. Instead, a reindeer in glasses is writing on the chalkboard. All their classmates have turned into a bunch of raccoons and foxes. They run out into the middle of the city streets, but the situation is even more bizarre than before. A police dog in a navy blue uniform is chasing a cat thief running away with a fish in its mouth. At the grocery store, penguins are busy stocking the shelves with products. Even the taxi driving past has a dog behind the wheel. Trump and Putin can only stand there staring at the city that's turned into a giant zoo, completely bewildered. And nobody has any idea where all the humans have gone. The man who flew with a jetpack at the Olympic opening ceremony was actually an elementary school kid named Leo. Leo is a 10-year-old boy who loves hanging out in his Uncle Ben's garage. His uncle, Ben, is a jetpack pilot who was supposed to perform at the opening ceremony of the 1984 Olympics. Leo secretly watched and memorized how to operate every button on this awesome machine. When the big day finally arrived, Ben suddenly got food poisoning and had to run to the bathroom so many times that he was completely worn out. The backstage crew was in chaos because there was no backup pilot. Leo, who had secretly followed and was hiding nearby, saw the jetpack suit left unattended and volunteered to perform in Ben's place. With no other options, the crew decided to let Leo take the stage instead. Leo immediately put on all the gear by himself and got ready to perform. Thanks to his light elementary schooler weight, the engine worked perfectly. Leo pressed the button and soared into the sky above the stadium, surrounded by the thunderous cheers of the packed crowd. No one had any idea that underneath that big helmet was the same boy who had just gotten off the yellow school bus that very morning, himself. What kind of creature is sneaking in to eat pumpkins in the middle of the night? Mike and Lucas are watering giant pumpkins in the school's vegetable garden. Suddenly, they found mysterious bite marks on one of the pumpkins. The bite marks were too wide to be from a rat or a raccoon. Both thought it was a scary-looking mutant monster. So they hid in a treehouse with flashlights and binoculars to keep an eye out for the midnight thief. At exactly midnight, a dark, barrel-shaped shadow slowly rolled past the bushes. It carried a large pumpkin in its mouth and walked straight to the fountain in front of the school building. The two boys followed closely behind, ready to shine their flashlights on the monster, but what they saw shocked them both. Give them a like to show your support. Sitting in the fountain was a round, chubby capybara that was munching on the pumpkin with great delight. After a while, an animal rescue truck pulled up. The officers quickly wrapped it in a towel. It turns out this thief is a star capybara from an open zoo that snuck under the fence to find a quiet spot to soak and relax, that's all. An abandoned carousel moving on its own at night. Actually, it's not the work of a ghost. At dusk, Austin and Chloe bike to explore an abandoned carnival on the edge of town that's been closed for 10 years. Suddenly, the lights on the Ferris wheel and the rusty carousel flickered to life. Their hearts raced as they saw a large dark shadow moving a lever inside the dark control booth. The old rides began to spin all at once, as if by magic. The two brave students left their bikes and crept toward the control booth to solve the spooky mystery. But the figure they thought was a ghost turned out to be Grandpa Henry, the town's kind mechanic. He was wiping oil off his forehead with a rag and smiling broadly at his handiwork. The truth is, there was no curse or ghost at all. Grandpa had quietly spent months using solar panels and old engine parts to overhaul and repair all the rides, to prepare this carnival to come back to life once again, as a surprise gift for all the kids at the upcoming annual festival. What would happen if a flock of Angry Birds pulled back a giant slingshot and aimed it in a piñata party? During a field trip, Oliver and Ethan got lost while canoeing and ended up on an island in the middle of the lake. The atmosphere on the island felt just like a tropical paradise. Suddenly, dozens of birds with tightly furrowed brows hopped out from the bushes. They squawked loudly in irritation. The grumpy-looking lead bird hopped onto the fork of a giant tree, which was strung with vines like a slingshot. The other birds helped pull the vines back until they were taut. Oliver and Ethan hugged each other tightly and squeezed their eyes shut, certain they were about to become target practice. The angry birds shot through the air, soaring over their heads before a loud poosh explosion sounded. When they opened their eyes, both of them were left speechless. The bird hadn't attacked them. Instead, it had crashed into a fat, round green pig doll hanging from the cliff, smashing it to pieces. A shower of jelly and chocolate rained down onto the beach. The flock of angry birds broke into big smiles and gleefully hopped around, scrambling to snatch up the sweets. They weren't angry at anyone. They were just starting an afternoon snack party on their private island, that's all.